I was approached to shoot that film by the director Jim Sharman, who must have seen some of my work, and I had been the cinematographer on several films before that.
I'd worked on Tommy, and then the art director on it was a guy called John Clark. He said, "Oh, Terry," he said, "would you like to join us in Maidenhead in Bray Studios?" I said, "Yes, on this, it's just a little B picture called the Rocky Horror Picture Show."
I'm just a sweet transvestite.
There was a stage show called the Rocky Horror Show before it became a picture show. It was quite outside my world. To be honest, I didn't understand it. It was made very cheaply. It was made on a budget of £250,000, but we had 5 weeks to shoot a musical, which is very little, so we couldn't do many cuts. The cast, however, knew the numbers, knew the lines, so there was no problem in that respect. The structure of the production was such that we found ourselves shooting in a small studio in Walton-on-Thames, and it only had one stage. It had 1.5 stages. Being in a studio with only one stage meant that we had to leave the stage. Once we'd finished shooting out a scene, we had to leave the stage so that they could destroy the set and build another one.
Brian Thompson, who was the production designer at that time, suddenly was going off to Broadway to do the theatre show. So he couldn't do it, you see. They were discussing it in an office of who's going to be the designer. Then I got called in, and I thought they were going to tell me who the designer is. So I said, "It's interesting, who's the designer?" And they said, "That's you. You can do it." So we were all elevated up like this. So that's how I got the picture, and of course you're going to say yes.
The most ambitious set and the most difficult, because it took up nearly all of the stage space, was the laboratory. It was high and narrow, difficult to work.
I bought all these Victorian type of cinema seats, took them up for all the extras. He said, I don't think I like those. He said, "Can't we put them in deck chairs?" What? So I gave him the best deck chairs, which was red and white, to tie up with everything, with the curtaining and the carpet, all of that. The ballroom was made out of partly at Oakley Court, where you saw a glimpse of a panel with some clouds on it. So the whole of that set, we did it all clouds in panels. Really came off ever so well. £70,000 for the whole lot for the sets.
When I was shooting the Rocky Horror Picture Show, I came across a material which was used for front projection screens. I could compare it to road signs. If you're sitting in your car and your headlights hit a road sign, they look very bright. I used this material on one of the scenes in the Rocky Horror Picture Show. The RKO symbol is a radio mast with flashing lightning. How to make them light up in camera was the challenge in my mind. I got hold of this material, I think it's called 3M, and I had them cut out the lightning flashes on the radio mast with this material, and I put a very weak light source close to the lens of the camera. By doing that, the camera could see the flashing lightning on the radio mast. Nobody else could see it because it's so directional. Once did the dancers on the set, we were able to discuss how to shoot them and where best to put the camera. I haven't shot a musical since then, but I think that they would be storyboarded because they're so expensive to shoot these days. And people expect a lot from them. In a way, it didn't matter that there was a naive quality to the work, camera work, all the work, because that added to the quality of the film.
I think the difference is that if you're working on a cheap picture, it's sometimes more difficult. But of course, if you're on a big film with big budget, then you've got to spend the money correctly. That was absolute sheer luck. It really was. Nobody thought it was going to be a cult thing. I mean, we just thought it was like a B-type picture. But look what a classic it is.
All I can say is today, I think it's one of the very best films I've ever had the good luck to work on. It's so eccentric that it can't be repeated. It's created its own world. I love it, and I'm very happy that I worked on it. But it was very foreign to me at the time.